Hey everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. So before we get into the video, fellas, I just want to quickly say sorry for being, I guess, sort of inactive these past few days on the YouTube channel. Reason being was because I was spending some time with my family and cousins up the coast for the weekend, but I'm back into it now, and in today's video we're going to be taking a look at my tips for round 4 of the 2022 AFL season. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated, and let's kick it off with my tips from last week. Okay, my tips from round 3, and again, I've managed to get 4 out of 9. This has literally been my score every single week so far. I just can't seem to get over 4, but hey, we do get 4. I wasn't really able to watch the majority of the games, obviously, because I was away, but I still did catch up on the highlights with each game, and yeah, very good round, and we're going to kick it off. First game, Sydney Swans versus the Bulldogs. I did tip the Swans. The first time this year I actually tipped the Swans. We lose against the Bulldogs. They were the better side, contested footy, they were heaps better. Defensively set up excellently against the Swans, and yeah, I feel like with the Swans, if they're not effective and they're not executing well, their ball skills, they're just absolutely flat, and the scoreline should have been at least by 40-50 points. Then Melbourne versus Essendon, did tip the D's of course, and they, I guess you could say, yeah, convincingly did get it done. I watched quite a bit of this game. Essendon were kind of in the lead, they were kind of creeping back, but it's just Melbourne's class. They've got Oliver, they've got Petrarca. When one play isn't, up to standards like Petrarca was, another man, Clayton Oliver, comes in and absolutely stars. It's just, that's how powerful their list is at the moment. Luke Jackson, another player, was excellent too. 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐷 I think kicked 4 goals. That's just how good their list is. They take out Ben Brown, they bring in another key forward, and that guy kicks 4 goals. They are looking really good. Adelaide Crows versus Port Adelaide. What a game this was. I decided to stay up for this because it finished around like 10:30, and my goodness, that was just absolutely crazy. I only really caught the last quarter, but Jordan Dawson kicks the siren winner. Kind of it hurts a bit, obviously, being as a Swans fan, but hey, he's had a fantastic start at the Crows, and hey, that is such an important win for the Adelaide Crows, and Port are seriously in the mud now. Now they are 0-3. Giants versus the Gold Coast Suns. Giants did get the job done. I did tip the Suns. Should have probably looked more into that tip because Gold Coast never, ever, according to history, play well at GWS Stadium. So yeah, they were just piss poor really throughout the day, and Giants were just very convincing. And that's the thing with the Giants, pretty inconsistent side, but when they're on, and they had a great win over the Suns. Collingwood versus Geelong Cats. Wanted to make a bold tip here. I reckon Collingwood could have gone 3-0. They looked like it, but let's remember, Pies, they do have that sort of choking motto in their name from time to time. Not being disrespectful, but it is what it is. But yeah, Cats' experience throughout that midfield was just too powerful for the Magpies, and they kicked, around 30 points down last quarter, and they just kicked around 8 in a row, and the Cats just soared past Collingwood in an epic game. Brisbane Lions versus North Melbourne, probably the easiest tip so far of the season, and they got a Tumpo over 108 points. They're looking very dominant, the Lions, and hey, David Noble was not happy in the press. He said that was just a pathetic display by our boys and we should show better. Carlton versus the Hawks did tip the Blues, and they held on. The first quarter was excellent. Second, third, fourth, they lost every single one of those quarters, and Hawks pretty unlucky not to win, to be fair. But Carlton, they are looking really still very strong side at the moment. They are 3-0. And these two teams, you never know where they could finish this year. Hawks be around mid-table, but I believe now Carlton are the real deal and they will make finals. That is my bold call. I did tip the Tigers in the St Kilda versus Richmond Matty's match. Looked like Richmond were kind of hanging on, but then again, the fourth quarters, what is with these? Some teams just cannot hold onto a fourth quarter lead. St Kilda, Max King kicked, I think, 4 fourth quarter goals, and they soared past Richmond. Richmond are just, I feel like they're just lacking that attacking kind of flair at the moment. That's what's really holding them back. In St Kilda, they're 2-1, and they've kind of, they've gone under the radar so far this season, I reckon, and yeah, huge win for the Saints. And final match, I did of course tip Fremantle in the Western Derby, and it was just an absolute smashing pretty much in the end. Fremantle, convincing win over West Coast Eagles. It was pretty much expected, and they won the game by 55 points. So 4 out of 9 from round 3. Can we finally get over 4 tips correct for round 4? Okay everybody, let's take a look now at the top 10 of my tipping competition. By the way fellas, if you're yet to join my tipping competition, feel free to join. Links in the description down below. There are some cash up for grabs at the end of the season for the high place finishes, and of course it is free to join. But anyway, let's take a look at the top 10. Kicking it off at 10th, we've got VinnyXBL, a good mate of mine. He's got a YouTube channel as well, so make sure to check him out. He's in 10th. We've got Jacko Crows 123 at 9th with 27 points. Vinny was on 26, by the way. 8th, 𝐼𝐴₄ with 27. 7th, Finn O'Driscoll tipping for 𝐶702. Jeez, quite a big name there with 28 points. 6, 𝐼𝐿𝐴₝ �058�113 with 28 points. 5, ESPN Fan with 28 points. 4th, Fedders77 with 29 points. 3rd, Willie and the Doggies with 29 points. 2nd, Banger Harvey with 29 points. And 1st, Patch Rooney. I'm pretty sure this guy was in the top 5 last week with 34 points. Jeez, what a start he has had. Rightio, now let's kick it off with our tips for round 4. We start with a Thursday night special at Adelaide Oval, with Port Adelaide taking on the Melbourne Demons. Of course, Port Adelaide are 0-3. This is a team that were the prelim finals last year, and it makes me think the Bulldogs, they were a team that were trying to find their first win last week, and they did that. They were really hungry for their win, and that's making me think, will Port Adelaide do that in this game? They're 0-3. They're wanting to be hungry to find their first win, but simply I just cannot see them doing it against the Melbourne Demons side. Who knows, they could pull off an absolute ripper, but for me, Melbourne's Demons list is the best in the competition by far at the moment, and they are just so convincing at the moment. I'm going to be tipping the Ds, and they're going to be getting it done by 23 points. Next game, we've got Geelong versus the Brisbane Lions, 𝐓𝐴₝ Stadium. As soon as I say that, that just makes me want to tip Geelong. They are so strong there. They pretty much win almost every single one of their games over there. And so far, they've had a really strong start of the season. And same with the Brisbane Lions. Let's not forget they are in first place as well. But it's just simply the home field advantage that really makes me want to tip the Cats here. This is definitely, I reckon, going to be a close game. Last time these two teams did play was around this time last year, when the Cats honestly won in a very controversial way, where it should have been, I'm pretty sure, holding the ball. 𝐼𝐴₝ got absolutely hammered. He should have been pinned. I'm pretty sure it was 𝐼𝐴₝. But anyway, I'm just going to go with the 𝐓𝐴₝ advantage. It's just such a massive factor when tipping Geelong. They rarely lose at home. Not running off the lines at all. They can definitely get the job done here. But Geelong is still looking like a top 4 quality side in my eyes. Stats-wise, they're really up there, and they're just going to keep on doing what they're doing, and they'll probably find their top 4 groove. And they're going to get it done over the Brisbane Lions by, I said it's going to be a close game. They're going to win by 7 points. Now for the Sydney Swans against North Melbourne. The Swans coming off a loss against the Bulldogs, and they were not good at all. The Sydney Swans on Thursday night, just very lackluster, pathetic, and poor ball skills throughout nearly the whole game. They just couldn't find their tempo, but I feel like they should be taking the 4 points here against North Melbourne. It's almost a guarantee. I'm pretty sure last time I saw it's $1, like 10 to $8 in sports bet, and I think you'd have to be a fool to tip North Melbourne. Of course, there's still the chance of North Melbourne taking a win here, but even though David Noble criticised his players in the press, saying what a shit performance it was last week against the Brisbane Lions, I just don't really see much light at the end of the tunnel. North did really give the Swans a decent crack in the practice match back in the 𝐼𝐴₝ Community Series, but the Swans playing at home, they should get a good crowd, and they will get the job done. And they're going to get a big win, I believe, and they'll win by 51 points. Now for Collingwood versus the West Coast Eagles at Marvel Stadium. The Pies were 1 quarter away from a 3-0 start, and from what history says, if you start off 3-0, you're around a 90% chance to make finals. Even though the Pies couldn't get the job done in the 4th quarter against the Cats, they still should really hold up their heads high and say this is a finals quality looking side against the West Coast Eagles, who are yet to get a win, even though they have players back in the side and they're still very competitive. They're playing outside of WA, and for me that's just almost a guarantee to tip the Pies, and I will. And they're going to get a nice solid win, and win by 34 points. Now for Richmond versus the Western Bulldogs, this will be an absolute ripper. 7:25 PM game at the MCG. Nothing beats a good old Saturday night special at the MCG. Shut up, bro. Let's just get on with the tip. From what we saw last Thursday against the Swans, the Bulldogs finally managed to get their first win of the season, and I believe now this is where they're going to start finding their groove. They were defensively very solid. They set up well. Contested footy was excellent. So many players in that Western Bulldogs side have absolute blinders, and I don't think it'll necessarily be the case heading into this week against the Tigers, but I still see him winning this game over Richmond. The Tigers at the moment just seem to be missing that sort of attacking kind of flair. With Dustin on form, that's what I believe are costing him at the moment. Plus Damien Hardwick, he's not a happy chappy in the coach's box. And for me, Bulldogs, I feel like they're going to finally hit their groove and get a few W's in a row, and they'll head to the MCG to pick up a win against the Tigers. I feel like it'll be a bit of an end-to-end contest, but probably the second half the Bulldogs will flex their muscles and run away with it, and they're going to win the game by 27 points. Now for Fremantle versus GWS Giants at Optus Stadium. Last time these two teams played at this venue, Fremantle, I'm pretty sure, smashed the Giants out of the park. But since this game is at Optus Stadium, I don't think it's necessarily the case that I should tip Fremantle. I'm feeling the Giants were going to head to WA here and really shock the Fremantle crowd, similar to what St Kilda did at Optus Stadium the other week ago. Just because it is at their home ground doesn't mean Fremantle are going to be convincing winners. And I'm going to be tipping the Giants here. It's really hard for a team to win in the West, I believe, and considering the Giants in the situation they are in, this will just be such a massive win for them, and they are going to take the Chockies in this game. Just from that win against Gold Coast last week, who seem to be a really competitive side, the Suns at the moment. Just a lot of plays, Torino, Canelio, Tom Green, they are looking like absolute stars at the moment, and they are going to be taking the win over Fremantle here. Again, it's going to be a tough win, I believe, and they're going to win a close one by 10 points. Now moving on to the Sunday games, and we've got Essendon taking on the Adelaide Crows at Marvel Stadium. The Crows had a magnificent showdown win, possibly one of the best showdown wins ever in AFL history over Port Adelaide the other night ago. They were just hanging in there really and attacking on Port Adelaide's mistakes, and they snapped back in the fourth quarter and won by a goal after the siren. Do I believe they'll take that form into next week, taking on the Essendon Bombers at Marvel Stadium? Last time these two teams played at this venue, Essendon absolutely smashed Adelaide, and Adelaide scored one of their lowest scores ever, I believe. I think it was 17 points. And considering also the Bombers are 0-3 for the first time since like 1965 or something, 1955. I don't believe the Crows will get the win here. They could be up for a fight, I believe, but Essendon, they really need to find their first win of the season. They are underachieving at the absolute maximum at the moment. To be fair, they've played some really good quality of opposition, and I believe now is their time to pick up their first 4 points. And Essendon will win this game, I believe, by 28 points. Now for Hawks versus St Kilda at the MCG, this is just such a tough one to pick. Do you go for probably the more expected team to play better this season in St Kilda, or the team that's in red hot form at the moment of the Hawks? They did just lose by 1 point against Carlton, but they've got a bit of upside at the moment, I believe. Let's not forget about St Kilda as well. What a win it was in Matty's match over the Tigers. The Hawks list is such an interesting one because they don't really have those sort of players that are expected to be playing this well so far in the season, like 𝐓𝐴𝐞 𝐎𝐿𝐻, James Sicily, he's had an excellent start of the season. Mitch Lewis has been great, Dylan Moore as well. And there's definitely going to be a few hiccups here and there throughout the season for the Hawks. Let's not forget they are probably a bottom 4 quality side. In my eyes, St Kilda are just looking like that better side at the moment. Again, St Kilda, it's very hard to tip the Saints, but I'm going to be backing them in for this game. And they're going to be taking the Chockies in this game by, I believe, around 17 points. And for the final game of the round at Metricon Stadium, we've got the Gold Coast Suns taking on the Carlton Blues. Geez, will Carlton head into Gold Coast and make it 4-0? They are such a massive story at the moment, one of the red hot teams in the competition. You'd think Carlton would head into Gold Coast and pick up a nice convincing win, but it's just not that easy against the Suns' hot and humid conditions over there at Gold Coast, as from what we saw against the Demons the other round ago. The Suns really put up a competitive fight over the Blues. Even though I really rate the Gold Coast Suns at the moment, I'm just going to be sticking with the Blues. I'm hopping, as I said the other week ago, I'm kind of hopping on the bandwagon of the Blues. I think they're just going to take it to 4-0. They're in such a massive patch of momentum now, and considering they won that game last week, I believe the momentum will keep on going into this week as they'll take a win against the Suns. And the Blues as well, just their list so far, there's just been barely any worries with injury. They've had a few COVID concerns, but Sard's returning back into the side alongside Doherty, who's probably one of the best halfback flankers in the league form-wise at the moment. And yeah, they're going to be taking the win over the Suns by, I believe, around 21 points. So everybody, there were my tips for round 4 of the 2022 AFL season. Make sure to comment down below and tell me what you think of my tips, and feel free to comment down yours too. But anyway, fellas, that's it from me. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.